As part of network penetration testing, we started with reconnaissance, that is open source intelligence methodology. Then scanning. As part of scanning, we are able to find out open ports, then services, OS details, right? And any kind of basic information about the target. Now, if you are moving into the exploitation, remember, if you want to exploit any target, we should have the basic understanding of the target and basic understanding of the protocol. In CPENT, we give equal weightage for the network, just like we have learned about the web technologies in the CH, right? Web related attacks, we have concentrated more in the CH training. Now we have to cover even the network because most of our labs will be on the network Active Directory, which will come into the CPENT examination. Today we'll start with the DNS attacks. Okay. What is a default port number for DNS? Anyone? Respond in the chat, all of you. What is the default port number for DNS? DNS default port number is 53. Okay. And DNS stands for domain name system. What is the purpose of DNS? Anyone? DNS server. What does it do? What is the significance of DNS server? We have this internet and attacker is here, victim is here. Assume like there is a DNS server. The purpose of DNS server is it holds the details of domain to IP mapping. Everyone knows the functionality of the DNS, right? Basically mapping of domain to IP address mapping will be done in the DNS server. Whenever you try to launch any kind of website, so victim system, in our example, we are taking victim system as Windows 7 in our lab setup. So I mentioned as Windows 7 only. Using Windows 7, one of the end user is trying to launch google.com, or he can launch any website, ultramutual.com, or any kind of banking.com, bank.com or .in. Whenever you try to launch a website, the request is first the Windows system has to resolve the IP address of the specific domain, right? So it will try to contact its DNS server, local DNS server or recursive DNS server. It will check for the domain to IP mapping, right? That is the first priority. In case if this DNS server doesn't have the details of the domain which we are trying to browse, then it will try to contact the root DNS server. This you guys have learned sometime back in the networking. In case if the root DNS has the details of this domain to IP mapping, we get that IP address of google.com and directly we'll be able to access google.com from my Windows 7 system. Windows 7 system is here and the victim is using this Windows 7. I'm trying to launch google.com from this system. Even if the root DNS server doesn't have the details of this domain to IP, then it will try to contact top level domains. Tier list means it will have some servers dedicated for different top domains. .com is one domain, .uk is one domain, .in is one domain. So these are all called top level domains. I'm trying to search hackerbook.in. I'm trying to launch hackerbook.in. I don't have the IP address of hackerbook.in in Windows 7 system. So the request will go to the DNS server. DNS server, local DNS server or recursive DNS server doesn't have the details of hackerbook.in. So the request will be forwarded to the root DNS. Root DNS also doesn't have the details of hackerbook.in. Then root DNS will try to forward the request to the top level domains. So each TLD will have one server. .in is one server. All the websites that have the extensions of .in will have the details of those websites in .in servers or .in TLD. So it will have only the details like which server has a domain to IP mapping. So this .in TLD will try to contact the servers called authoritative servers. This is just to get the IP address of the domain. This is how the functionality of DNS works. And how do we store these details? Whether DNS or root DNS or authoritative server, the way they store the records are in the form of a record or for a record. And for reverse DNS, they use PTR, pointer record, for reverse DNS. What are these A records? Familiar 4A's record or PTR record means. A record will have the domain to IP mapping. For domain to IP mapping, information will be stored for all IPv4 addresses. Similarly, for domain to IP address mapping for IPv6 is stored in 4A record. In pointer records, basically pointer records, these are mainly meant for reverse DNS. Reverse DNS means sometimes it might be required for the email servers, especially for email servers. IP address is known, but we don't know the domain name. So in case of DNS, we know the domain name. We are trying to find out the IP address. In few cases, especially for email servers, IP address will be known. We need to check whether the domain is correct or existing or not. So that kind of details will be stored in the PTR records. All these records will be existing in these DNS servers. This is the concept of DNS. Now, as part of DNS poisoning or DNS spoofing, what attacker does is he tries to modify either the DNS or root DNS or authoritative server to update these record values. Okay. For example, in DNS server, some address is there for google.com. It is something like 12.12.12.10. I'm just giving you the example. It is not exactly the IP address of Google. Or let us take the Google IP address only. Google.com. What is the IP address of Google? Let me try to ping from this system. Ping google.com. It's showing IPv6, but IPv4 will be good. Let us try to ping some other domain. Altaromutual.com. Okay, this is the best example. 65.61.137. and 61.137.117. 65.63.137.117 and the domain is altarovisual.com. These details are stored in DNS server. Basically, it will be like this. Domain will be mapped to this IP address as part of a record. Now, attacker, what he does is he tries to target these records by making use of any tools which can modify the DNS entries, right? So allromutual.com, as of now, it is pointing to the correct IP address. By using any browser, if I try to launch allromutual.com, I get the correct details. Let me show it in the system. We have Kali Linux attacker system and Windows 7 system. Try to launch allromutual.com. So from Windows 7, I'm trying to launch allromutual.com. Click on sign in. I'm able to launch it. Everything is good. I'm able to access the legitimate website. Even any kind of banking website, if you try to access, I'll be getting the correct domain. For example, ICICI Net Banking. I think the browser is outdated. There's a reason it might not be able to access. Fine. As of now, this is a sample banking website, or it can be any website. You try to browse it, you'll try to get the IP address of this domain from DNS servers, and we should be able to log in. So far, everything is good. My system, Windows 7 system, will try to contact local DNS server. Kali Linux is their attacker system. This guy also will try to contact local DNS server for launching the website of allromutual.com or any other domain. Now, as an attacker from Kali Linux, what I do is I try to modify the details of allromutual.com. Allromutual.com, the DNS record, I'll try to update it to some other IP address, some malicious website IP. That's it, right? Where is this malicious website is hosted? Somewhere here. Malicious website. IP address is 192.168.247.199. Either this malicious website can be hosted in a separate machine, or you can host it even in the attacker system also. Basically, the request instead of Windows 7 system, the actual request has to go to the allromutual.com. But when I try to launch allromutual.com, I am getting a different website. It also looks like allromutual.com, but that is an attacker website. This is being controlled by the attacker. Okay. So to practice this lab, we require attacker system. We require one victim, and websites. Any websites you can launch it. Only the target is you need to modify the DNS entries. This is called DNS poisoning, where we try to uh, redirect the legitimate websites to the malicious website. Right? This is how the DNS poisoning works, or DNS spoofing. Now, how do we do this lab? To perform this lab, first thing is we need a malicious website. In our case, malicious website, I host it in the attacker system only. Here itself, I host malicious website so that the victim, when he tries to launch google.com or allromutual.com, the request, the website should not go to the original website. It should go to the dummy website hosted by the attacker. What is the root folder in Linux operating system for any kind of website? Respond in the chat. What is the root folder in Linux operating system if you are hosting a website? Have you heard of /var /www/html? Remember, this is a root folder. So if you are hosting a website, in Linux based operating system, we should copy all the details here. I'm sure all of you are familiar with web technologies, how to create a basic HTML page. If not, we'll directly copy in the online. First thing is I need a malicious website. For that, I make use of Apache web server in Linux. Attacker is going to use Kali Linux here. Malicious website is hosted in attacker system, and the attacker tools also hosted in the Kali Linux only. We are using the Kali Linux for two purposes. One is for hosting a malicious website. Another one is for triggering the attack by making use of these tools. These DNS recursive poisoning. This is basically DNS poisoning issue. Reverse DNS attacks. We have this DNS poisoning where we try to tamper the DNS records. Fine. Once you host this website, the next thing is you need to make use of some of the tools in Kali Linux. We are going to use a tool called EtherCap. Okay, EtherCap is a tool that is used for modifying the DNS entries in these DNS servers. By doing that, we'll be able to update the DNS records, and when Windows 7 user tries to access the domain, he'll be able to access the malicious website instead of the legitimate website. Let us do that now. First, we'll host the website. Go to the attacker system. Now, launch terminal, root terminal emulator. Let us launch with root access. And present working directory is root, right? ls is listing all the files. Now we want to change the directory to cd slash where slash www slash html, right? Okay, type ls. By default it will have two files, index.html and debian.html. We don't want these files, default files, in this location. What I do is I try to rename these files. Okay, what is the command to rename? Move index.html. First we have to create one copy. For that, what we do is cp space index.html. Then I create a copy of index.html.world, right? Basically, I'm trying to create a backup. Type ls. We are trying to modify this index.html because when we try to launch this website, it should be like we should be able to launch this website with some kind of custom message rather than the default one. Rename this nginx debian.html also. rm space index.nginx.html2 index.nginx index.nginx debian .html. What is the command to rename RM or move? Type ls. So we have renamed by using the command mv, move, not rm. Fine. Right now, I created one index.html. Maybe we have to edit this HTML file, right? Cat space index.html. As of now, there is some content, but we don't want this content. We want to change this content, right? So what should we do? We'll try to copy some content of a login page, launch browser, some custom content we'll try to copy. Basic HTML for login. You guys will try to do these commands after some time. First, pay attention how I'm trying to create a login page. Forgot password is there, login is there. Just some sample page where you want to see, like when you're trying to launch a malicious web page, what is that it has to be displayed. That's it. That's what we are trying to do. So one sample form, but does it has reference to the CSS? No, right? Let me try directly here. Nano space. Remember, Nano is a editor which is used for editing the files. Index.html. Enter. So we have this content as of now. I'll try to delete this. Cut, reload, help. Lot of content is there. We'll try to delete this content. Control K, that is cut. Now I'll try to write my custom code here, HTML and slash HTML. You name it like some header h1 slash h1. Login to a banking website. Some details. Now I'll try to copy paste the form whichever I have copied earlier. Let me copy it from here. Navigate back. We'll refer some other basic HTML login form. Okay. Stack Overflow. This is good, simple login form. Copy this entire code. Don't worry in case because there is no need for us to write the complete code. You can copy paste. The objective is to learn DNS DNS poisoning, not to learn HTML. There's a reason we need to copy some of the things. Save it. Control less O, write out, enter, wrote 18 lines, exit, control X. That's it. If you want to check the file cat index.html, it has been saved. How do you know that this file is saved and you are able to launch it? You should be able to launch this website by using the IP address of my system. What is the IP address? If config 199/index.html. But remember, we need root permissions for this index.html. We need root permissions to launch this, and also we want the Apache server to be running in this server to launch the website. For that, change ownership of the service account user. Service account user is www-data, and I'm trying to change the permissions of this index.html to the user www-data. Enter. How do you see the list of users in general? Anyone? I want to see the list of users in Linux based operating system. What is the command? I want to see all the users in Linux operating system. What's the command in the chat? This lab is a lengthy process, so we have to ls. Ls is to see the list of files. One correct answer. etc/passwd. You guys forgot user and password details, so type cat space /etc/passwd. You need to remember all these things to crack CPENT. Cat etc/passwd. We are able to list all the users. Among all these users, which one is service user? So there are like lot of criteria to be selected as a service user. Usually service users doesn't have the login, so it comes with no login. Out of all these users, how do I see the service account users? You need to put a symbol called pipe, and from this list of users, try to search for user which has no login in this output. No login. So these are the users which are service account users. Among all these service account users, I selected www-data as a one of the service user with uh, basically I'm trying to give the ownership to that user as a web service user. Okay, that's fine. Now we need to start the Apache server. What is the command to start the Apache service? Anyone? Service space Apache 2 space start. Sudo has to be used, but already I have launched the terminal as a root user. So directly I'm trying to start the service. That's it. One work is done. If you go back to this diagram, I need one malicious website for performing the DNS spoofing attack or DNS poisoning attack. I created a malicious website. How do I launch this? With the help of IP address /index.html. Shall we try that? Let me try it from my same system. Launch browser. One 192.168.247.199/index.html. This is the one, right? Enter. Login to banking website, username and password. That's it. My custom page I'm able to launch from attacker system. Can I launch the same thing from other system? Yes, of course. That is a hosted website. Attack malicious website is launchable even from any system within this subnet or log into banking website. It is like directly launching the website. If I launch alphamutual.com, what is happening now? It will launch alphamutual.com because so far we didn't do any kind of spoofing. It is going to the actual website. For now, let us close this malicious website. I'm trying to launch alphamutual.com. It is going to the original website. I'm trying to launch google.com. It is going to the original website till now. Let us try to modify the DNS records by using the tool called EtherCap. Okay. First, let me launch EtherCap tool in the attacker system. EtherCap is there under sniffing and spoofing. EtherCap graphical. Give the password as Kali and authenticate. Okay. And it is asking for the interface. Once all the details are correct, you can click on this tick mark to launch this tool. Before launching this tool, we have to modify some of the permissions for this EtherCap, some of the configurations, like which domain we want to do the DNS spoofing, and some configuration changes for the EtherCap to work. Let us do that. Then we'll launch this EtherCap tool. For now, I'm trying to close this tool. I have launched terminal with root permission, right? What is the current folder? Current folder is www/html. Remember, EtherCap will be there in the etc folder. Change directly to etc and change directly to EtherCap. Type ls. We have ether.configuration file, ether.dns file. We need to update the DNS entries. We need to update ethercap.configuration file with some permissions. Okay. Use nano editor, nano space. But before using that, create a backup of these two files. Copy space ether.configuration file. I am trying to create a backup as old file because I want the original one. Done. Even ether.dns ether.dns.old. I'm trying to create a backup file. CP is for command, right? Now I can modify ether.config and ether.dns. How do you modify that? Use the editor called nano editor. Nano editor ether.configuration file. What is that you want to modify is the user ID by default is 65534 and 65534. We want to give root permissions for this user. Okay. User ID and group ID will try to give the root users details. That is 0 and 0. That is one small change we have to do. Once that is done, privileges, user ID is 0, group ID is 0. Scroll down. Connection, sampling rate, miscellaneous. Everything as it is. Scroll down. You see some entries here, right? As part of this, hold on. I'm trying to modify these DNS records. We need to uncomment this so that These tables will be able to update whenever ettercap runs that. Remove this comment, put this symbol, again remove this comment. This is for IPv4. In case if you want to try for IPv6 system also, because for Google we have got IPv6 address, so try to do that even for IPv6. That's it, right? We have given the group ID and user ID as that of the root user. Then we have enabled the root user to change the permissions of the IP tables. Save it with Control plus O, write out. Enter. And again exit with Control plus X. That's it. Changes has been done. If you want to check the changes, cat space file name, header dot configuration file. Changes has been done. Now see what is there in the DNS file, header.dns. Scroll down. As of now, everything is commented. We don't have any records. For example, www.bar.com PTR, pointer record and some IP address. www.yahoo.com, a record with some IP address. So basically, we are telling the DNS entries like if someone tries to reach google.com, what is the IP address it has to go? It has to go to the malicious IP address, right? Malicious IP address I have hosted in 192.168.247.199, right? Okay, fine. Let us try with google.com first. A record. The IP address I am trying to put the IP address of the IP address of the malicious website that is hosted in 199. Enter. Star.google.com means even for subdomains. A record 192.168.247.199. Let us try to create even for pointer records. For pointer records, www.google.com PTR, then 192.168.247.199. So in case if the victim launches google.com, it should go to the malicious website. It should not go to the original website. That will see that once the ettercap configuration is done, we'll check whether it works or not. Even for the ultramutual.com also we'll try to do the same thing. Ultramutual.com, a record 199. Star dot ultramutual.com, a record the last one PTR 192.168.247.199. So if the victim launches google.com from any of the systems in this domain, it will be redirected to my malicious website. Save this, Control O. Write out yes, Control X for exit. That's it. We have modified the DNS entries, not the DNS, basically the configuration files. And you need to run the tool so that it will redirect any of these entries to the malicious website. As I said, we should be able to launch the tool ettercap from sniffing and spoofing, then ettercap graphical, give the password as Kali, authenticate, Why it is still not launched? Let me try one more time. There is no need to enable any firewall rules for this. How come? Let me see what is the process that is running here. Yeah, we are trying to launch tools. It's not working. Already we have launched, no? So that's the reason we are getting some problem. What is the command to kill any process? For time being, let me restart now. The configuration changes will not affect anything. Shall we restart or will kill the process? Let me restart it. We have done the configuration changes. That's it, right? It will not affect. Yes, of course, I'm trying to launch it from tools, but looks like the tool got crashed or some reason I'm not able to get the interface. We are almost done. We created malicious website and we have updated the DNS entries. Only thing is we have to run the setter cap which will continuously uh, redirect these requests to the malicious website. I'll give you the step-by-step documentation for this. You guys can practice. That's it. Now, menu, applications, theater graphical. Hopefully, we should be able to launch it. Provide password, authenticate. No, still having some challenges. Let us wait. Sudo space kill all. Any idea like which process needs to be killed for the application? No idea. Let me try this. We should be able to launch. When guys do one thing, try to create the malicious website by using some custom HTML page now from all of you. Meantime, I'll check how to launch this letter cap. Do it now, all of you. Let me see how to kill the background process. Kill all. Okay. How do you figure out which process it is running? Try to create malicious website. Meantime, I'll see how do we bring up this service. Okay. We are not able to figure out the process of this tool, right? One last try, or else no, we'll see tomorrow. You guys do it till here. I'll tell you the steps. No, I think we are not able to launch this. See, the service name we have to put. What is the service here? The service is, what is the service it is going to use? The service of Ethercap graphical. This is a tool. We are not able to launch the tool. That is the challenge. Try to create custom HTML page, custom index.html under www folder. Uh, One last option we'll try. See, this is a tool not dependent on the web service. Let me start Apache service. Task 216 total. Okay. Fine, guys. You try till here for tomorrow. Only one step we are missing. Once we are able to launch the tool, we need to update the gateway IP address. That is the only step. With that, we should be able to launch. We should be able to redirect these domains to that IP address or malicious IP address. We'll see it tomorrow then. Okay. Let me list down some of the important steps what we have done today. We have covered the basic theory of DNS spoofing attack. First step, create malicious website. For that, you need to create HTML page under where w html index.html. You need to replace this file. Then start service. Before starting service, change ownership for the user. This you need to do. Till here, we are supposed to do by tomorrow. Updating this header cap, I'll do it one more time for you. If you want to do it, you can do it by yourself. Okay. You need to update header.config and header.dns. If you can do it, you do it, or else I'll do it tomorrow once again. After this, you need to launch header cap graphical tool. Then update the victim IP address and DNS server IP address. With this, our lab will be done. Okay. Try to do it 3 steps. The rest of the things I'll take it tomorrow. I'll see how do we kill the process and how to launch it. Fine, guys. Thank you so much. We'll connect tomorrow again.